Welcome everyone to the latest Hangout, the latest Power Play Chess Hangout. This is a monthly occurrence event on YouTube, and well, I'm delighted to join those of you watching live. I'm delighted that those of you watching live can join me, but also those of you watching this on the Power Play Chess site afterwards. I hope you enjoy the program. I can see a few people joining us already, which is great. Hi there to everyone. Big shout out. As usual, I've got I can see the chat over here. Got the camera here, the chat over here on this screen. So greetings, everyone. Greetings, Alireza Sabag, Marc Boudreau, and well, many others who are just joining. So I'll just wait for a few moments while people are still joining us. Ayomide Ogunjinmi says greetings from the UK. Well, fantastic. It's nice to have someone joining me from the UK. And I'm in the UK as usual. I'm in London, and it's been a really pleasant, well, it's turned into a very pleasant evening, actually. Yeah, very fresh. Feels like spring is in the air, which is nice. Hello from South Africa, says Is Kovachev. Greetings to you. Greetings to South Africa. Fantastic. So I'm just waiting for people to arrive. As usual, what I'm going to do is I'll take your questions, and then I'll look at some puzzles, and I want to show you a complete game. That's the joy about having a complete hour. I do have the time and the space to actually go through a complete game in some detail, and it's a really beautiful attacking game played in the Aeroflot Open very recently. So we'll look forward to that. So let me see. We've got a few questions already, so let me start with those. Nick Gatrell asks, hi Nick. Hi Daniel, what's your view on the Vienna game? Well, it's okay. I mean, it's a way of knocking the ball across the net, you could say. I mean, it's not, because after e4, e5, knight c3, there's no direct pressure on black center, then black has a freedom of choice. So, you know, it clearly it's not that fantastic in the sense, because it does give black freedom, but it's, of course, it can't be bad to bring out a knight into the middle of the board. So of course it's not a terrible opening. It's quite reasonable. I used to play it as a teenager occasionally, but, well, I didn't cause any earthquakes with it, let's put it like that. Let me see. Chinar Patil checking in from Atlanta. Hi. Vishnu wants me to show the solution to the Fisher problem that I set in the last video. Vishnu, you're going to have to wait for that, I'm afraid. That comes in the next video on Friday. So I'm afraid you'll just have to be patient. Let me see. Alejandro Enriquez asks, hi Daniel, fan from Mexico. Greetings to you in Mexico. As people on these Hangouts know, I'm a big fan of Mexico. I've never been to Mexico. I hope I will one day, but I'm a big fan of Mexico. And Alejandro asks, can you give your impressions on the fried liver attack? Well, the fried liver attack is, I think, a very dangerous opening. Well, clearly it's dangerous for both sides. But actually, from a theoretical point of view, I think it's quite interesting for white to play. You know, even at the highest level, there are some, you know, even in the old main line, which, you know, goes right back to Steinitz, you know, I think there are some really interesting wrinkles that white can play. So I quite like it, actually, I have to say. I mean, maybe I'll kind of go into a detail when I get the board up, but I think it's reasonable. Synth Cliff says, North London. Hi there, North London. Greetings from West London. Let me see if we got some more questions. Okay, well, what I'd like to do first of all, let me show you the first position. Let me get that on the board. 1 second, because if some of you might have seen my bit of publicity on Twitter or on Facebook, and let me just get this position up. So here we go. I'm going to show you a board, so I'm going to disappear any moment. Here we go. Hopefully this will work. There we go. Yeah, excellent. Whoops, that's better. Hopefully you didn't see the solution. Yeah, so I showed this position on Facebook earlier and asked white to play. I didn't even say white to play and win or white to play and draw. So if you'd hold off with the questions for the moment, and I will just go through this, and I'll come back to your questions. So I just put white to play. So, I mean, there was one guy on Facebook that got it right. What would you play here with white and why? This is a study, but it's not. I mean, what I like about studies is that they're not sort of completely unnatural positions. You know, this could arise in a game, and this is a very, as with many studies, very, very elegant. So I'm looking for your solutions, everybody. What would you play here if you had the white pieces? If you're using a computer, please don't bother writing in. I'm only interested in people that are using their brains, please. Oh, it's all gone very quiet. Well, while you're thinking, J.F. Thompson, greetings to you, J.F. Thompson, in sunny Manchester. Yeah, I haven't been to Manchester for a while, actually. Nick Gatrell wants to play b7. Let's go with b7. Yeah, well, it's a forcing move. And clearly, if the rook comes across, then we can play. Lashy Choke says he saw the moves and brought up. Haha. Yes, I forgot to put it in trainings mode. Well, clearly that is winning for white. Very easy. So let's go back. So instead of rook there, the only move is king c7. Right, over to you again. Gunnar Lund says maybe b7, king c7, king d7, blah, 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 knight d7, king b7. Yes, well, maybe, Gunnar, that you know the solution, but you're still being very hesitant about it. I'm not quite sure why you've prefaced your solution with maybe. The NP dude says knight c6. Yeah, knight c6 doesn't work. I mean, obviously, if king d7, then b7, but if the king comes here, then actually there's no danger. b7 is the move. Thomas Miller from Michigan, thank you very much. Yeah, knight d7 is the move. Oh, you wanted to play knight c6 in the other position. Yeah, knight c6 wouldn't work. Well, I better take that. And yeah, I don't see if you want to play king f2 here, that doesn't work because the rook has a safe square. Well, for example, rook here, yeah, and the rook is saved. So that one doesn't work. However, if you play knight b7, this is very beautiful. Clearly, the knight can't be taken as a pawn or queen. This move is forced. And then we have the rather beautiful king f2. which, as winning moves go, is rather subtle. I rather like king f2. And basically all the rook's available squares here, oh, hang on, here, rook d3, rook b3, rook e4, rook e6, they're all mined squares because the knight will come here. And that will be a devastating knight fork. Very beautiful. So that was a study by Herr P. Sussman, published in Schach in the year 2000. Fantastic. Yeah, I rather like that. Let's escape from there. And I'll come back. There we go. I'm back again. Yes, there was a question. Sorry if I can come back earlier. What do I think of the Polish opening? Somebody asked. Presumably, yes, that was J.F. Thompson. Thoughts on the Polish opening. Now, what is the Polish opening exactly? Is that d4, b5? Well, it's not very good, is it, really? It's good for a laugh. Do you mean d4, b5, e4, bishop b7? Yeah, it's okay. I seem to remember playing it once by accident. But I don't think it's brilliant. Here we go. I'm just going to go back in. Wait a second. So just one moment here. With the Polish opening, presumably you mean d4, b5, and then e4 and bishop b7. Is that correct? Oh, hang on, I should catch up on the messages. Wait a second. Yeah, the orangutan is b4, but the Polish is this, I believe. But anyway, this is one. I think. I mean, there are many good ways to play this. I mean, one could simply play knight d2 here, and then you have to ask, well, what exactly is that pawn doing here? Likewise, bishop d3, and I think the problem with these is that, of course, you can do stuff like this, but you know, there's no real pressure on white center. This is the problem, you know, because e4 can be held very securely. So, you know, if white just plays quite modestly, I think you just have an opening advantage. By the way, I mean, this is also quite a good move. And just to play for a big development advantage, to castle, to play c4 and knight c3. I mean, this is also very promising for white. That's not bad. I once played the Polish by accident. I was playing a Scottish player, Colin McNabb, who's a grandmaster. He's a decent player, but he had white, and I always got frustrated that with white he always played c4 and g3 and bishop g2 and knight f3, and oh god, basically he would play this against any system at all, and I just found it a bit tedious. And I bet somebody before the game. I said, if he plays c4, I'm going to play g5. I just wanted to shake him out of his systems, and because I could guarantee that he would just do all this usual stuff without playing, you know, anything more interesting. And I thought, well, this could be pretty good, because actually, if he just does all this usual stuff he always does, then I thought, well, great, I'm going to get a kind of, well, this kind of reversed closed Sicilian position, except my pawn is already on g5. That was my theory. You know, if I did something like this, because he always played the same moves. over and over again, with white. So I thought, well, great, I've probably gained a move. But he must have smelled a rat, because he came to the board, and instead of his normal c4, he opened knight f3. And unfortunately, knight f3, a wonderful move, and even more wonderful in this situation because it prevented me from playing g5. However, having sort of made this bet with somebody that I was going to play g5, I felt honor bound to play b5 in this position. And I found myself, and then he played e4 to my surprise. I thought he was just going to play g3, and we'd get something like this, where b5 isn't terrible. But he played e4, much to my surprise, and I found myself, by accident, in a Polish. And I discovered it wasn't very good for black. So there we go. Thomas, everyone is saying b4 is the Polish. I don't think it's the Polish. I think it's the Sokolski or the orangutan. But anyway, I don't get hung up on names too much. But I've always thought that that was the Polish. But anyway, you can call it what you like. Anyway, I hope that's answered your question, Mr. Thompson, J.F. Thompson in Manchester. Right, let me try and answer another question. Hang on. Let me just come out again. There you go. I'm back. I'm here. Hi there. Here we go. Let me see. Sorry, I'm just flicking back. Did I ever meet Fischer? No, I never met Fischer. After 1972, Fischer turned into a recluse. And in 1972, I was 9 years old. I never bumped into Fischer. Steve-O65 says, greetings from Birmingham. Hi, Steve-O in Birmingham. He says, hi, Daniel. I fluctuate between 1100 and 1200 rating. Can you suggest any way I can improve? Well, okay, is that 1100 and 1200 online? If you're only playing online, then it's very difficult to improve. I would say get out there and play normal over-the-board chess. Play as much as possible. Play and then come back and try to analyze what you did wrong, what you did right. But over the board playing, not online playing. That's the best way to improve. And then come back and analyze your games after. Chess-Based Products says, hi from Hamburg. How's all? I was in Hamburg last week and had a fantastic time. Really, it's such an exciting city. I really like it. Let me see. The NP dude asks, hi Daniel, I play the King's Indian with black, but I'm not sure what setup to use when white plays the move order, knight f3, g3, bishop g2. Oh, well, I mean, lots of things you could do. I mean, the main lines are okay. d5 is okay. Let me see. Let me just go to that very quickly. Wait a second. To answer that question, let me come to that board. So I'm just look at the board now. So coming back to this position. So let me get your exact question. White plays the move order, knight f3, g3, etc. So, for example, here. One thing you can do is play d5 in this position. That's not a bad move. Or c5. If they're not going to occupy the center, then why not go for this? and stop them playing d4, because these kind of systems are pretty reliable for black. If they play this, well, this is not a bad system for black, for example. You could also play d5 here, and play. I mean, these are obviously very reliable. These are not bad. And play like this. If you want to play solidly, you can play c6. I mean, these are theoretically, they're all fine. If white doesn't claim the center with pawns, then you can claim the center. If that's what you mean. Or, I mean, you can also just do a copycat for the moment and see what they come up with, and come back into a normal King's Indian, if that's what you want to do. Or if they play c4, well, again, you can threaten to play e5. If they do this, then this is a very good system. This one, for example, h6 and bishop e6. This has an excellent reputation. Play like this, for example. I don't know if that answers your question. Let me see. Let me come back. I'm just looking through your questions. Wait a second. I'll just come out of that. Wait a second. Gamers Paradise asks, do you think there will ever be a British world champion? At the moment, I don't think so, no. I can't see that happening in the next 20 years. Baradwaj Ralabandi says, shout out to GM King. I'm able to beat 1800 Edo player now after learning for 2 months. Love your videos. Oh yeah, somebody picked up on my question about over the board or online. Wait a second. Let me come back to that. Mark Boudreau says, why do you say that about online versus over the board play? Because online isn't very considered. That's the thing. People just kind of make moves. They're sitting in the comfort of their office or in the living room, and they're just playing moves without consideration. I know you can play slow games, but it's still not, absolutely not the same as sitting over the board where your opponent is opposite you. There is far more tension, and that is real chess as far as I'm concerned. And it's more concentrated. You play better moves. It's more considered. There's more reflection. That's why I think it is, if you want to improve, it is far better to play over the board chess. I know, for example, I remember having a pupil a few years ago who only played over the board, and that's basically where he played most of his chess. And I schooled him as well as I could, and I said to him, look, if you want to get better, try over the board. So he played like a weekend congress, and he got absolutely hammered. And that was to be expected for the first time. He said he couldn't believe how tense it was, and he just wasn't used to it. But also, he wasn't used to a time control. This is real chess, over the board chess. You simply can't compare with playing online. I hope that makes sense. Let me come back. Thomas Miller asks, do you think Wesley So may become next World Championship challenger as long as he doesn't make any more notes on his scorecard? Yeah, I think Wesley, I mean, he's obviously in fantastic form. I mean, I'm as bad as anyone else at predicting the future. But I think he certainly has something. He has something quite special. He has a very good mentality. He's very He's quite pragmatic. He doesn't overpress. It seems to me that he's getting better and better. You know, he studies extremely well, extremely hard. I don't see him getting distracted by, you know, too many things outside chess. I like Wesley a lot. He's a really nice guy. He's a very friendly guy. I hope he does well. I mean, there are lots of nice guys at the top of the chess world. But yeah, Wesley, I hope he does well. I think he does have he has a definite chance, and he seems to be getting better and better every tournament he plays. That's the interesting thing. You know, I don't think he's not complete yet. Kinetic Static asks, do you play any other games? Yeah, that's a good question. A few years ago, I actually wrote a book introducing lots of strategy games. And, well, I really like backgammon. You know, again, that's just relaxation. I don't play any other games seriously. I don't like poker. I like playing bridge, but just social bridge. What other games do I like? Well, backgammon is probably my favorite game away from chess. I don't play very well, but I enjoy it. You know, I don't gamble on it basically, but I like it very much, and I enjoy bridge. Chess-based products asks, if you could choose alive or not, which player would you like to play over the board? Wow, that's a good question. I'll have to think about that. Probably one of the Soviet players, actually. I played against Tal. He's one of my big heroes. I played against Spassky. He was one of my big heroes. Keres, maybe? One of those guys. But going further back into chess history, you know, well, Capablanca. Yeah. Now that I think about it, it would have been fantastic to play against Capablanca. Kappa was just a dude, a total dude, you know. He dressed so well. He was so urbane. You know, he was suave. He was sophisticated. I mean, yeah, that whole era, the 1920s and 1930s, you know, fantastic. That would have been great to play against Capablanca. Yeah, I've worked it out now. You know, afterwards, you know, Capablanca would swan off with some, you know, beautiful girl, and, you know, he'd be at the bar sipping cocktails, and, you know, this is proper chess. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, I think we need to look some chess. Wait a second. Let me give you. Well, listen. I wanted to look at this complete game because I've advertised that there's this fantastic game I want to show you. So I'd like to look at that game if you don't mind. So let me. Otherwise, we're going to run out of time, guys. And I really want to show this because it's beautiful. Here we go. So this game was played in the Aeroflot Open, 24th of February, not very long ago, between Matthias Blühbaum, who's German, of course, one of the sort of up-and-coming younger German players, and Yevgeny Nair, who's Russian. Let me zip through the first few moves. So knight f3. There you go. The guy that was asking about the King's Indian and what to do against knight f3. I like this system very much for black against knight f3 and g3. and knight f6. And here Bluebaum plays, of course, I mean, there are various ways to play this. You can play d3, for example. But I've always felt very comfortable playing in this way with black. I think this is a lot of fun. But white can also play with d4. And I've played like this with white, actually. And then play for e4. And this is not a bad system for white. I mean, of course, black is very solid. Going back, bear with me, white actually played h3 here, which is very provocative. And as we'll see, white will, in the end, regret that move. Sorry, I'm just resizing the windows. Now, why do I say you might regret that move? Because you can see that g3 is somewhat weakened. Now, that's hardly significant at the moment, but well, black is able to seize the center. I know white has the bishops. That's a very interesting move, a5. So black would like to gain some space on this side of the board. Well, watch how this develops. a4. White, when somebody advances a rook's pawn, there's always this huge dilemma. Do you allow the pawn to advance? Do you block it here? Do you block it there? You know, what do you do? So Bluebaum decides to block it with a4. Fine. Bishop c5. Why not? Those dark squares are going to be very important. I'm going to have to zip through a lot of these moves. As you can see, we're running out of time. Rook e8, of course, very sensible. c3. Now, this is a very interesting moment. I'm going to throw it over to you guys. How would you play here with black? I'm not going to answer any more questions for the time being. I'm going to concentrate on this game, if you don't mind. So over to you. Your move. While you're thinking about that, I would just say that this monthly Hangout is made possible by those guys who donate on patreon.com. That's how I'm able to do this, because, of course, for most people it's free. Well, for everyone it's free. But there are a lot of very kind people who support the Power Play Chess channel on patreon.com and the Power Play Chess site. And if you can spare a monthly contribution, doesn't matter how small or how large, then please do check out our page. And of course, those people contributing do get extra videos and other benefits as well. So do check out the Power Play Chess page on patreon.com if you want to support this channels. Gamers Paradise says, please monetize your videos. I do monetize the videos, but unfortunately, the pay you get from advertising from YouTube is very, very small, which is why we've set up this Patreon page. And if you feel like you can contribute a little every month, we'd be very grateful. Right, we've got lots of ideas. Rook e6. Wow, that's a slightly bizarre move. Knight h5. Well, knight h5. That's on prise. Knight h5. Queen b6. Well, queen b6, I guess, is, yeah. The only problem with queen b6 is that after this, I'll push the bishop away and then bishop e3 probably. So not queen b6. Interesting. I don't think anyone has got the move yet. No one's got the move. Very interesting. d4 I don't particularly like because that blocks the bishop. And so, for example, and after this, what I want to do is I want to take on d4 and get a nice majority over here. PME 389. Well done. Bishop A7 was played. Excellent. And the idea is to bring the knight to this very good square where it looks at these, well, these sensitive points. And this is tricky. So, for example, after Queen C2, Knight C5 comes, and already, you know, something could land on this square. So, for example, after Knight B3, well, now you can take, and Queen D3 is actually rather awkward. Threatening this pawn, threatening that one. There are problems here. Bishop A7 is an excellent move. In this position, White decided to trade. I'm going to have to zip through quite quickly. And then put the knight here. So, well, positionally, this has some merit to put the knight on B5. The only problem is that it gives Black this tremendous center. And here, Black exploited this very well just by pushing this pawn. If that's taken, then Knight E4, well, you can see White's development is dreadful. And there are already threats to take on G3, exploiting this pin. But, you know, Black is just very, very active here. So for that reason, after E4, White closed with D4. H5 was possible there. Now this is a great idea. Bishop B8. At the moment, this bishop, the situation has changed. The bishop is doing nothing, but now Bishop B8 is an excellent move. And now here we go, Rook A6. Things are building up nicely. So the Rook has potential here. The Bishop has potential. And, you know, you've got this 4-3 pawn majority on the king side, which is potentially very dangerous. So let's see what happens. Oh, a slight problem here. Don't know what's going on. Got too much going on here. E4 played. I'm going to zip through quickly. Knight F8. Yeah, I mean, of course, this move could have been played a few moves ago to bring knight round here, potentially. H5. Again, this move could have been played a few moves ago. Is the classic advance. So well done, everyone that suggested H5. Could have been played instead of H6, indeed. Bishop G5. Yup. Well, the knight didn't go to G6, but that's a pretty good square. Bishop came back. And of course, H4 is the classic way to open up this diagonal. And now, Queen D6. Things are getting very, very serious here. Check. King here. Right, over to you again. What did Black play in this position? This is really beautiful. Black to play. What's the story? Well, we've got a few people that want to play knight takes G4. Now that's very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Let's have a little look at knight G4. Well, after knight G4, of course, I'd better take that, I guess. Now, what's the follow-up? What is your follow-up? E3, yeah. First E3, then knight G4, people are saying. Ofer says, Ofer Shammai, greetings to you. Says E3 first. Yeah, now H3 isn't possible because You see, my queen can swing across. So I'm not sure about knight g4. Now e3 has been suggested, which I have to say is a very tempting move to open things up. So presumably I'll take with the bishop. Now what's the big follow-up? Ah, now maybe you can take here. This is of course possible. And now play h3. This is very interesting. Here, yes. I mean, this is certainly this is excellent for black. Maybe not winning straight away. Oh, it looks very good. Yeah. Okay. I mean, black has a wonderful attack here, so I think that's good. I think there's more than one way to play this position. So that looks pretty reasonable. But I'm running out of time, so I'm going to show you the move. Bishop g3 was the move. I think somebody did suggest this. Yeah. By the way, Bishop g3 is just an amazing move. It's a beautiful move. So this happened. I mean, basically, white is stuffed here. If takes, then you play knight g4. The whole point of this is to open up the f-file. White is utterly lost. I mean, obviously, if instead of bishop f4, if the king moves, then this drops and it's fatal. Bishop f4, you can play here. I mean, there are lots of good moves. But this is a threat. Taking here. I mean, this is completely winning for black. Let's go back. This didn't happen in the game. If bishop e3, you can take anyway. Play h3 here. I mean, it's completely winning. Completely winning. I mean, there are lots of nice variations. Many ways to win, but bishop g3 is the move. g5 was played in the game. What's great is black's play is so direct. It's so destructive. He didn't bother sort of defending any pieces. He just went straight in. I mean, this is just beautiful. That got taken. He took this. If bishop g5, you check. I mean, that obviously that's a devastating discovered check. I mean, that can't really be avoided. Yeah, if the king goes back, well, knight d2 check wins, but I guess this is mate very quickly. What amazes me about this game is that, sorry, just coming back here, that bishop g3 is so crushing. White has absolutely no defense. You know, you can't escape to an endgame, a pawn down or something like this. I mean, it really is totally devastating. Let me just play through the end of the game. Well, that was the end of the game. You can see it's completely gone. Here, white resigned. So if king here, well, let's take that one off. If the king runs over here, I mean, there are so many ways to win. I think I might be really cruel and play rook c6 check, actually. And if the king comes here, well, we'll give. Is that mate? Oh, it's not quite. King d2 is still on the board. Wait a second. We should be able to do this. King d2, knight f3. Am I trying to mess this up? I think I'm trying to mess this up, actually. This is funny. Well, I haven't messed it up completely yet. I could do better than this. Rookie, somebody suggesting rook e3. Not rook c6. Yes, of course. Mate in 1. Thank you very much, Fabian Kröger. Mate in 1, of course, is a little bit stronger. Okay. I just thought it was a lovely game. Absolutely beautiful game. And you know, this system is, I think, very reliable system for black. Yeah, so let me take some of your other questions as we're running short. Let me go right back. Somebody asks, Ignacio Lucero Asensio, hi there, asks, the last World Championship made an effort to spread the game and make it more appealing to the general public. Do you think that's actually happening? Well, the World Championship match certainly garnered extraordinary publicity all over the world because it was the World Championship match, and it was really, really exciting. I mean, I absolutely loved it. For me, the World Championship final is still the absolute pinnacle of you know, the chess world and chess events. I followed virtually every single move. You know, I loved it. It was incredibly tense, and it's one of those things, the more effort you put into it, the more you get out of it. It was a brilliant match. That's not to everyone's taste. Some people prefer blitz. Personally, I loved it. The psychology of these one-on-one matches is wonderful to spectate, and I love the way that it unfolds slowly. You know, even the draws, even if they weren't the most interesting, some of the games, they actually serve to increase the tension. Now, another question is whether the organizers made the most of the publicity that they could have from this World Championship match. Probably not. I think they could have been more professional about it. But they're very inexperienced, I would say. And, well, I don't want to get into international federation politics, but it looks like I am. Yeah, it could be better run. I would say that they could do a better job on the publicity. But it was a great World Championship. Let me see. I'm being asked who my favorite player was of all time. No, I didn't. Capablanca I like very much. It's true, but actually Tal I like very much. Fischer I like very much. Cinchcliffe asks, would I consider a longer hangout? An hour is quite enough, thank you very much. And I'm sure you know the expression, leave them wanting more. Mans England asks, what about an Ulf Anderson game for analysis? Yeah, I like Ulf very much. He's a great guy. I love his style. I have looked at some of Ulf's games in the past, but I'll certainly bear that in mind. Not to everyone's taste, but I'm a fan of Ulf. Daniela Marioni asks, why are openings like the King's Indian Defence, Benoni, Caracan, and French, why have they almost disappeared at top level? Well, first of all, the Caracan hasn't. The Caracan is very much in Hochmode at the moment, very much à la mode. French, one sees now and again. King's Indian, the Benoni, I'll tell you why. Because I'm going to show you on the board. Just one moment. It's all to do with space. So just 1 second while I get this on the board. Here we go. Hope you can see this. So why aren't the King's Indian and the Benoni seen at the highest levels? I tell you why. Because these guys don't like to play with a space disadvantage. It is as simple as that. When you play like this, white has space. And as, for example, Kramnik has proved over the years, by when he punished Kasparov, for example, in the 90s. I mean, Kramnik played the King's Indian, played against the King's Indian so well. He proved that you can use this space advantage beautifully. The top guys do not like to play with a cramped position. You can play very well, but you can still find yourself with a completely lost position just because you have no space. And the same applies to the Benoni. Fundamentally, the Benoni is a slightly dubious opening because white has great space. D6 in the long term can be a weakness. You know, there is the ever-present danger of breaking through with E5. Yes, I understand black is counterplay on the queen side. I have played the Benoni myself. However, at the highest level, this is extremely dangerous. You can find yourself simply with a lost position just because you lack space. That's why these openings aren't played very often at the elite level, only occasionally. And that's why very often you will find openings like this at the elite level, or like this, the Queen's Indian. And well, basically at some moments, you know, black will play D5 or you know, be able to play C5 and trade here. You don't lose control of the center. That's what it's all about. I hope that's answered your question. And here we are again. Okay. Michael Prendergast says, what's the poster behind you? Every Hangout I get this question. What is the poster behind me? It says Международный шахматный турнир, and was a tournament I played in Jurmala in Latvia when it was part of the Soviet Union in 1985. And my name is on that poster alongside the name of Mikhail Tal. I feel very proud of that, even though he crushed me. Well, he didn't crush me, actually. It was an interesting game. Alex37292 asks, have you ever argued with another player in a game? That's a great question. Yeah, absolutely. I've argued with players during the game. If someone's, you know, behaving really poorly, you know, I've had that a few times. I remember I'll give you an example. There was one guy I played against who, I'm going to get up from my chair, who he got up from his chair and was like doing this, looking over his chair at the board like this, and kind of rocking back and forth. I mean, Jesus, you know, I just said to the guy, yeah, would you mind? He looked at me like he kind of smiled like that, you know, some goofy way. I mean, appallingly bad manners. So yeah, I've argued with someone at the board if I think they've crossed the line as far as etiquette goes, if they're behaving badly at the board, you know. Chess-Based Products asks, what's new at Griffin Park? Now, that is a very good question. Brentford, unbelievably, won another game last night. They were playing at Nottingham Forest. And the Bees, come on you Bees, they beat Nottingham Forest 3-2 away. 3 sensational goals. Lasse Vibe from Denmark scored twice, and Jota from Spain scored beautiful goals on the counter. Okay. Alex37292 asks, Was that guy argued with Mark Hempton? Absolutely not. Mark is a very, very correct player at the board. If you're looking for an example of someone that has absolutely correct manners at the board, Mark Hebden. Very decent player. Well, a very good player overall, but absolutely correct at the board. No, I mean, Mark I've known for years and years and played against him I don't know how many times. Mark is absolutely correct at the board. He lets his moves do the talking, I can assure you. Don't know why you mentioned him. A Radiated Badger asks, what's my favorite beer? That's a good question. That is maybe the most difficult question I've been asked all night. There's a good Twickenham ale. There's a local ale to here, Twickenham Ales. I'm going to give them a bit of publicity. Twickenham Ale is very good, a local brewery to here. I would highly recommend Twickenham Ales. David Kruger meinte, Meckertzer Sonntagsbier ist das Beste. Schön, das muss ich einmal probieren. Vielleicht das nächste Mal in Deutschland oder vielleicht sind Sie in Österreich, ich weiß nicht. At a second asked, do I like Naked Ladies? I do like, yeah, one of their beers, Twickenham Ales, one of their beers is called Naked Ladies. Yeah, good choice. I do like that one. They also have like a red ale, which is very good. I do. Kurze Beatbox-Tutorials. Du kannst ja Deutsch. Natürlich kann ich Deutsch sprechen. Ja, ja. Letzte Woche war ich in Hamburg und das hat so viel Spaß gemacht. Ja. Irradiated Badger says he's from Montreal. We have lots of good beer. Okay, listen, I think the conversation has turned to beer, which is always a good subject, but probably, it's hard to come back to serious chess talk after that. So basically what I'm going to do is I will say, chess-based products, ja, letzte Woche habe ich Augustiner probiert und Augustiner war sehr schön, muss ich sagen. I'm going to say thanks very much. Don't forget, if you feel like supporting the Power Play Chess channel, I would be very grateful, as would my technical colleague, my technical partner, Pascal. There's two of us that run this channel. So please do support us on patreon.com. I'm going to put it in again, patreon.com. Wait a second. Patreon.com and Power Play Chess. There we go. Do support us. We'd be very grateful and enjoy the rewards as well. If you support us, you get rewards too. Discounts, for example, and extra videos. So until the next month, thanks very much. Thanks for all your questions. A very interesting chat as ever. And see you soon. Bye now.